Alright, this week we're going to go with a Stonefly. I don't even know if it's a Stonefly. That's probably what we used it for. This is a pattern that my cousin Darren and I came up with. I'm pretty sure there was some beer involved. Maybe a lot. I don't know. Maybe Darren was the one more responsible for this and then I tweaked it. I don't know exactly how it came about, but when I was back home, we used to beat up on the local bucket fish, and then even on the J, you know, to where you'd be into the wilds and everything. And then I went down to Carolina, and we just absolutely tore it up on the Nantahala and the Tuck and you know, a few of the rivers around there that we used to fish quite frequently. Just on this pattern, we caught some pretty good fish on this. Yeah, I mean, it's a quick, simple pattern, easy to tie, really effective. You don't feel bad when you lose one or two of them. And it was great in the tandem rig, you know. I mean, when you were drop shotting, you know, you have your split shot and then probably 6 inches above your split shot, you'll have this pattern, and you're above that, you know, I'd usually have a tag that I would tie off, and then I'd run, you know, a smaller nymph. I ran a bunch of different ones, but this was always my bottom fly, and like I said, caught a lot of good fish off of this. So we'll go ahead and get right into it. This is apparently the no-named Stonefly, half-ass Stonefly at that. More of an attraction pattern, I guess, an imitative or yeah, well, suggestive pattern more so than an imitative. I mean, you're not going to find many bugs in the river that look like this, but it sure catches fish. So, getting right into this, we're going to go with a U203. This is a size 8. There we go. I like these for Stoneflies. You know, it's a good hopper pattern as well, or a good hopper hook. Stoneflies, whether it's adults or nymphs, whatever it may be. But I like this hook. It never really had any issues with it. I like the natural, or the curve that it has to it. Gives you a natural look on that, on your pattern. And the neighbor's dog's barking. We got the birds chirping in the background. All sorts of entertaining noises for you guys this week. I had kids running around in damn dirt bikes, man. They were making some freaking noise. I'm glad they knocked that nonsense off. Alright, so to start on this for our tail, we're just going to go with dyed wood duck Mallard flank. And I'm going to take this about 3/4 of the length of the hook. I got some fibers in there that are a little bit longer, some that are shorter. I don't care if they're perfectly straight or not. I mean, we're not really imitating anything anyhow, so it doesn't much matter. I don't know if I like that length or not. So, yeah, I guess it'll work. Might be a little bit on the long side, but we'll take it. So now I'm just going to run this up and cover this up. This is going to give me a little bit of bulk on the body. Just run that up to the front. A little bit of bulk, not a ton. And then I'm going to take a piece of Brassie sized copper wire. I'm going to start this about at my about where I want my thorax to begin. This way I'm going to have, you know, an even taper. I'm not going to have a bump or anything on the back half of the fly. And then I want to make a reference with this right here, so I'm going to build up a little bit of thread. As you can see, it's pretty easy to tell the difference, the color differential between this and that, and there's a little bump right there. That's where I'm going to stop my back section, and then I'm going to take and just make a dubbing loop and take this up to my tie-off point there, and then I'm going to throw this in the dubbing. I'm going to get my dubbing loop and then hook it off to the side. And because I was putting a bunch of hopper bodies from foam and everything together, normally I would just do a quick rope on this, or a noodle, whatever you want to call it, and just run this up through there. But because I have so much super glue on my fingers from the hoppers, hint hint, maybe there's a hopper video coming, it's going to make it a little difficult to dub this. So the loop it is. So we're going to have a little bit of a taper here. I like the back section obviously a little bit more sparse, and then the closer we get to the abdomen, I like it to kind of fan out a little bit. Gives it a little bit more of a taper. Now I don't do these even when I dub this by hand, or if I just make a quick rope. I don't do these really tight. I like to keep the fibers loose, and then I just run this up. If you get them to where it is really excessively tight, you wind up with like these segments, and I don't know, it just looks sloppy to me. And then I run this all the way up to the front, not worrying much about where my tie-off point is anymore. We got a pretty good reference on that, and then I'm just going to bring this back and then tie off this excess. The dubbing that I'm using, should have mentioned that at the beginning, the dubbing that I'm using on this, this is just a sow scud dubbing, and then this is the olive. I do these in olives, tans, browns, even some blacks, and then I'll mix some colors together. There's really not any rules to this one because, like I said, we're really not imitating anything. One place that I do get myself in trouble on this pattern is I wind up pushing a little closer to the head and have a tendency to cover the eyes up, so I'm going to try to refrain from doing that on this one. Next up, we're going to just take our wire here and we're going to counter wrap this. Yep, I got one spot there that I didn't like too much, but we're just going to counter wrap this, evenly space everything up, and then go ahead and tie this off, and then we'll trim this wire, get it out of our way. Now we're going to do a flashback section. So this is just large Mirage tinsel. You can see that. You can use whatever sort of flash you want. I like the thickness on this one. It seems to match up pretty good for this fly, so this is what I tend to use. But you can cut your own out. You can go smaller, you can go bigger if you want. Entirely up to you. So then I'm just going to run this back to my tie-off point, my original tie-off point. And I tie this in. Make sure when you tie this that your tinsel is running straight down your hook, because if it's not, and if you're canted off to one side or the other, when you fold this over, you can see this one, it has that, if you can see it very well, it's coming right down the center, and it just looks a lot cleaner. Does it really matter? No, but I mean, if you're going to take the time to tie the fly, may as well make it look half decent. Make it look like you know what the hell you're doing. It's a struggle for me sometimes. Now, like I said, because I have a tendency to get a little bit close to the eye on this one, and I'm jumping ahead of myself. Missing a key component. Missing a key component here. Getting ahead of myself here. I am talking, trying to tie at the same time. Alright, so now we're just going to take a regular Mallard flank. You can see for reference purposes, on the fly, That's about the width that we're going for. And then I'm just going to take and peel off all of this excess here, all the webby stuff. Go ahead and get rid of that. And then I'm going to take this, and you see how I have this natural curve to the feather? I'm going to flip this upside down so I have a cup right there. And then I'm just going to peel these fibers back, probably about the front quarter of it. Get over here. You gotta be pretty careful with these, they can be pretty brittle. So I'm just going to take that front quarter back and then trim this off, and then I'm going to tie it in upside down. Once again, make sure that your stem is going right down the center. I had some loose wraps there, and then that way I can adjust it to where it's down the center and then go ahead and tighten up a little bit. Now, back to the dubbing loop. So regardless if I have super glue on my fingers or not, I always put this section in a loop. And like I was saying before, I'm going to try and stay away from rushing this head too much on this one, because the fibers wind up being a lot more loose because of the overall buggy effect that we're trying to go for. We're trying to fill out that thorax a little bit more. We want to make sure that we have a nice picked out body, but by doing that you can also have a tendency to get some material up to the eye of the hook. So I'm going to try and stop it just a little bit shy here, and have a clean looking finish to this. So I don't get too worked up on taper on this one at all. I just throw this in here, get about what I need, and then I'll take my loop and I'll give it a quick spin. Same thing, keep this pretty loose. This is a little bit tighter than on the back half, but for a good reason. I'm going to show you the most advanced dubbing brush tool on the market. This thing's been around for about 20 years. Still does the same thing, that there's ones you pay all that money for, and the you know, the new fancy stuff that's out there. Maybe if you guys are lucky, I'll put a tutorial together on how to make one of these. It's pretty complex, so I don't know. We'll see if I have the time to go through and explain that one. Oh, if nothing else, I entertain myself. So, moving on with the fly, and it looks like I did a half decent job there. Kept everything off of the eye of the hook for the most part, and I still have two materials to get in there, so I'm going to bring this thread back a little bit over top of that to give myself a little bit more room to tie off on. There we go. I'm going to go ahead and half hitch because we're working down on an angle here, so I go moving these materials around that may want to try and slide off on me. Force a habit, I do a half hitch and I bring my materials up. So then I'm just going to measure out right in front of the eye here, and I'll go ahead and flip this around. So I took the fibers that are going to be sticking back, if I can get this out of the way. I took the fibers that I'm going to be using. Those are the ones heading back toward this hand right here, my left. And I just peeled those back, and those are going to give me like my legs, if you will. And that's right at my tie-off point for the hook, or for the eye. So then I'm just going to bring this around and tie this in, get a couple of good loose wraps in here. And then I'm going to bring my thread out of the way and give this just a slight pull. Just a slight pull, that way it tightens that up a little bit. Keeps a tooth from getting in there and really ripping it up too bad. And I'm going to work my way toward the back just slightly. Get that out of the way. I'm going to pull this up and just clip off all of that excess. We got a nice and clean eye right there. Everything's just about ready to finish up. So now we're going to take this and bring this over the top. This is our Mirage, our tinsel. And same thing, get a couple of loose wraps on this. And then I'm going to pick up on this, get my thread out of the way so it's not going to fall off on that angle, and just give that a quick trim. And then there you go. Now the last thing that we have to do, there's the black dog. Oh. Last thing that we have to do is just whip finish. The video wouldn't be complete without Knox drinking a ton of water. There we go. I'm going to go ahead and just use the old tool here because it seemed like it was wanting to get away on me. And go figure. Go figure. Had my tinsel come out. That's never happened to me ever before. That's a first. Alright. There we got it. Crisis averted. So, now if you want, let's go ahead and move those legs around a little bit, get them how you want, because as soon as it hits the water, it's going to not look the same anyhow, but at least it looks good on the vise, right? If you want now, you can take some UV and go right over top of this, hit it with the torch. Probably suggest doing that. This is a little bit brittle on the top, but it'll give you a little bit more longevity on your fly. But there you have it. There is the no-named Stonefly, whatever the hell it was supposed to be when we came up with it. But if you guys have any questions or comments, leave them with me. I'll get back to you as always. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you on the next fly.